Shalom. What if I told you Donald Trump's public anger over the renewed aggression in the Middle East is actually a calculated front? Today we're exposing the bitter truth of geopolitics. What leaders say and what they actually mean are rarely the same thing. While Trump broadcasts that he hates this escalation, behind closed doors, a short, sharp shock to Iran aligns perfectly with American interests. Before we break down this double game, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the real forces shaping the Middle East. Let's get to it. In recent weeks, Trump broadcast that he wants to reach an arrangement with Iran. There is no reason in the world that we should fight. Just behave nicely. I love you guys very much, Mr. Revolutionary Guards. There's just no reason that we should fight. Let's be friends. But it's impossible to really reach an arrangement because the gaps between the sides are too big. And when one side is so desperate for negotiations, it usually doesn't end well. But the Americans have another card, and that card is us, Israel. Why is this such a good card? Because Trump can say, look, dear Iranians, I really want to reach an arrangement with you, but that guy over there, that guy in Israel, he's a mental case. He's going crazy. He's a mad dog that barks and bites anyone who passes by. How am I supposed to calm him down if you don't give me what I need? Oh, you don't believe me that this dog is not under control? So here, look at how he bombs you. Look at how he shoots you. Basically, looking at Israel as some crazy aggressive dog like that, it's the anti-Israel narrative that Israel is a crazy aggressive dog. But letting Israel play this role is good for the United States in its dynamics negotiating with Iran. Because it reminds Iran, look, if you want us to succeed in stopping Israel, you have to give us something in the negotiations. So Trump can say, stop the bombing immediately. This is not acceptable to me. What are you doing? You're destroying the ceasefire. You're harming my attempts at negotiation. Yes, he can say this, but it could be that behind closed doors, he tells the Israelis, okay guys, take yourselves a few hours, a few days, run wild, do some damage, and maybe the Iranians will remember that it's worth it for them to be a little more flexible in the negotiations, that they have something to lose. Now, it's not only against Iran. We have other players as well. We have the internal arena of the United States, and we have the Gulf states, where this strategy, if it is in fact correct, is relevant to them as well, and I will explain. Let's start from the internal angle in the United States. Trump was elected, among other things, with a promise that he would not drag the United States into foreign wars, which he calls forever wars. Many of his voters do not want to see more wars in the Middle East. By Trump publicly opposing escalation, saying, oh no, what are you doing? Stop shooting. You're destroying everything I worked on. Oh no. So by doing this, it could be that he's silencing the criticism from home. Because if it really ignites the war again, then Trump can always say, hey, I told them not to do it. I'm not involved. Israel is to blame. And Iran, they're all the time attacking each other. They're all the time shooting each other. It's not connected to us. But this is only within the United States. We have here something else that's very, very interesting, and that is Saudi Arabia. Because the Saudis, according to what I understand, very much wanted this entire saga to end. It hurts their economy. They want the straits open. They don't want this threat to their energy facilities. And even more than that, they don't want this threat to their water infrastructure, which is much more of a disaster for them if it gets hit. So Trump has to show the Saudis that he is trying to calm things down. He's trying to reach an arrangement. It's not him escalating. It's the Iranians and those crazy Israelis that are fighting all the time. And Trump can say to the Saudis, I told Israel not to attack. It's Israel that decided to attack anyways. And then Iran started it or responded. It's their business. It's not connected to America, and therefore it's not connected to you, the Gulf states, because you are in an alliance with the United States and not in an alliance with Israel. And I remind you, this is also something that the Iranians have been saying all the time. If you harm our infrastructure, we will harm the infrastructure of the Gulf states because they are allies of the United States. Now, what does infrastructure mean? It means they hit the energy facilities, whether it's oil, natural gas, or hit the desalinization plants. There are desalinization plants in Saudi Arabia that are huge targets. They stand out, and it's impossible to really protect them. A few drones, a few missiles, and it not only hurts the economy, it paralyzes all of Saudi Arabia within days. No water in their kitchen sinks. This is a ticking time bomb, and this is the reason that the Saudis, among other things, are so afraid. And also, the Americans are afraid, because if you disable Saudi Arabia, both energetically and regarding their infrastructure, you hit the entire global economy. And here comes an interesting possibility, Trump's biggest trap. The Iranians are in a trap, and I don't know exactly what their best option to get out of it is, if it's even possible. What do the Iranians need? The Iranians need the Gulf states to feel threatened, exactly for the reasons mentioned above. The Iranian logic is, if we're attacked by the United States, meaning if you take down too many of our gas facilities or of our civilian infrastructure or our power stations, we will destroy the oil and water facilities of our Arab neighbors and collapse their energy and water economy, and that of the whole world along with them. This causes the Arab countries to run to Washington and cry, "Oh, mommy, mommy, save us! Stop this war immediately! It's too dangerous for us!" And then the question is asked, what happens in another situation? What happens if the ones attacking Iran is Israel, and only Israel, while the United States claims it wants this to stop, and that it's not connected to the event? And likewise, the Arab countries are not connected to the event because it's between Iran and Israel. It's not connected to the United States, it's not connected to them. In this situation, Iran has a few options. The first option, the Iranians attack the Arab countries, Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, even though only Israel attacked Iran, and publicly Trump says this isn't connected to us. On the one hand, the Iranians continue with their deterrence and terrify the world. But on the other hand, it also could be a strategic disaster for them. Why? Because this move might finally push the Saudis into the hands of the Israelis, because they cannot walk on this dangerous tightrope forever. And it brings Saudi Arabia and Israel closer to normalization, which is a thing that is also a disaster for the Iranians. The second option of Iran, which is also bad for them, is to take the hit from Israel, to take the beating, and not attack the Saudis, because this could do two things. It could push them into the hands of Israel, as we mentioned, or it could perhaps also bring an American response. Then basically, if they don't respond, they lose their deterrence, they lose their leverage. Their entire threat was, we will destroy the infrastructure of the Gulf states. Then Israel attacked, and Iran didn't destroy it, meaning, bottom line, if you destroy the infrastructure of the Gulf states, you might lose, and if you don't destroy the infrastructure of the Gulf states, you lose. So, it's quite an interesting trap. And this leaves us with a fascinating question. Is this all part of a deliberate double game by the Americans, given a quiet green light to Jerusalem while publicly crying foul to protect their own interests? Or Does Trump's massive ego mean he would never tolerate Israel appearing to thumb its nose at him publicly? I want to know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I promise you, I read every single one. And don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to see the real picture, and subscribe to the channel to support us. Until next time, Shalom from Jerusalem.